The Avs and Hurricanes shocked the hockey world with the Mikko Rantanen trade as Team Canada needs another defenseman for the Four Nations face-off. Hey everyone, welcome into Off the Post. Rob Wong joined alongside by Steve Simmons, Bruce Garrioch, and Patrick Johnston. And while it wasn't your typical Friday night news dump, the Colorado Avalanche trading star winger Mikko Rantanen to the Carolina Hurricanes, there's been lots of speculation as to why the Avs made the deal, whether it's because they didn't want to pay Rantanen, who is a pending UFA, more than superstar Nathan McKinnon. Rantanen has since said he was willing to take a discount to stay there. Bruce, we'll start with you. What did you make of the decision by the Avs?
Well, I know from having spoken to Rantanen's agent, Andy Scott, who's based out of Ottawa on the weekend, this did not catch them off guard. They knew this could happen. They were surprised that Carolina went ahead and made this deal without a contract in place. They did not get a heads up from either the Avalanche or the Hurricanes that this deal was happening. They had been having back and forth negotiations with the Avalanche and weren't close on a deal. And they knew that this was a risk involved, guys. But I think at some point, once Rantanen gets settled into Carolina, I think he's going to like it there. And I think he's probably going to like playing for head coach Rod Brindamore, who's a no-nonsense kind of guy. I really think, everybody seemed to think this would set the wheels in motion for a lot happening before the trade deadline. But we are inside 2 weeks now to the break for the Four Nations face-off, and I know we're going to get to that. So, in my opinion, Carolina kind of got ahead of the deal here, and I know nobody cares. But I don't know how Chicago only ended up getting a third-round pick in all of this. Anyway, I've taken up too much time.
Are they the stupidest people on earth? There's only one way the deal gets made, and that's if Chicago takes money back, which means you guys owe me something, and you guys owe me something, and they get next to nothing. Now, that's a whole other side. If Carolina can find a way to sign Mikko Rantanen, and I'm not convinced they can. Tom Dundon is a bit of a, can I say, whack job as an NHL owner. He's a little off center. He's never made a big signing. He's never had a superstar guy making the big money. And they kind of, they lost out on Jake Gensel last summer when he wanted to stay there. So where's the proof that they're going to be able to make a deal, even though Sebastian Aho, is this guy's one of his closest friends. So maybe that will keep him in Carolina. But if they don't sign him, they've lost a very good player in Martin Necas and won't have anything to show for it.
The thing that amazes me is this is 2 years in a row that Carolina has taken a big swing, though, right? Like they took a big swing at Gensel last year. They go for it, right? Like, I mean, the long-term commitment is a different question, but in the moment, they have shown a willingness to go after things. And obviously that's reflected as well by their persistence with talking to the Vancouver Canucks, because that was in the background of all this, that Elias Petterson sounds like he was an alternative option on Friday. Probably a similar package, which of course tells you everything you need to know about the situation here in Vancouver, that things continue to be in flux, and we'll see what happens. I mean, as of Friday morning, I had it that, Miller's on the verge of being traded. We're not sure where, but he's going to be gone. As far as I know, that's still the conversation point. I'm kind of fascinated to see maybe if Colorado tries to pick something up out of this. I mean, I know we've been talking about the Rangers, but
here's what's fascinating about Rantanen being traded. There are very few Rantanens in the NHL. There are very few guys who year in, year out produce at the highest level, not just in the season, produce at the highest level come playoff time. This guy's got over 100 playoff points in his career. We're talking about an exceptional playoff performer. Now, is he exceptional because he was playing with Makar and McKinnon, or is he exceptional because he is exceptional? We'll find that out. Sometimes that changes when you go from a comfort zone, like playing with the two of the three best players in the world, and you're the next guy, to being the best player on the team you're now on, and how does he fit with Aho or anybody else on that team? And so that's really interesting to me. And what's also interesting to me is Colorado did not want to pay whatever it was they could get Rantanen for, discount or no discount, because they know Makar's coming up. They know what they're paying McKinnon, what they probably will have to pay him, down the road. They didn't want to do the Kyle Dubas and have 3 guys in that huge amount of money, even with the salary cap going up, which tells you a little bit about how they're operating as a franchise, even as they're owned, by a member of the Walmart family. They can afford whatever they want to afford. Let's be honest.
Their team, I'll just say on Rantanen quickly, I will obviously see him a lot. And the guy is, the points don't even sum up how much of a horse this guy is. The way he controls the shifts when he's on there. This is just an absolutely outstanding pickup for the Carolina Hurricanes and the way Rod Rindenboer likes to play hockey.
And the other guy I feel for is Netcash. He gets into Colorado and they were really unhappy to see him. If you saw Jared Bednar's press conference after their loss on Saturday in Boston, it was like, oh my God, I felt for the guy 100%.
Yeah, tough spot.
Players do get traded.
They definitely do. And
I want to say one more thing. Players do get traded, but in the NHL, they're different. On a Friday night, these guys get traded, and they're all playing for their team on Saturday. In the NBA, they'd be folding their suitcases and getting their cologne on and everything else, and they'd show up a week later. Same with baseball, same with the NFL to an extent. In hockey, man, those guys get traded on Friday night, and there's Netcash playing Saturday afternoon, for his new team.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed the video the Hurricanes released where Taylor Hall and the team meeting is meeting Mikko Rantanen. They're shaking hands because they're there the next day coming from different cities. All right, let's move on to the Four Nations face-off, which Bruce alluded to is coming up in a very short amount of time. And Alex Pietrangelo of the Vegas Golden Knights has said, I don't want to play. I got some ailments that I need to deal with, and he's concentrating on the NHL team and the rest of the regular season. So now Team Canada is short a defenseman. Steve, you tweeted about it earlier today that they're already looking at some replacements. What are you hearing on that front?
Well, what I'm hearing is that the Los Angeles Kings have 6 games to play before the break. And I suspect Drew Doughty will be playing in most of those, if not all of those games. Drew Doughty's a guy Team Canada wanted had he been available. When he got hurt, he wasn't available. And if he's anything like the Drew Doughty we know, we saw him in 2010 and we saw him in 2014, he's built for this stuff. If he's available and he's healthy, I suspect he's the defenseman that they'll head to the roster.
I appreciated the other names that Steve threw out there, guys that I've seen a lot of. Obviously, Mackenzie Weegar, Brendan Montour, 2 fantastically rounded defensemen. And, of course, Chris Tanev. That would be a fun choice as a 4th option, but I do think Steve's on. I think Steve's right. If Drew Doughty's available, they absolutely have to have him. What a big game player he's always been for Canada.
I hate to do this from my little bubble in Ottawa, but I hope, okay? I hate to turn this into this, but I've been on this soapbox to the point I got quoted in Aftonbladet for saying such scourge statement about the Swedish goalie here in Ottawa. But I hope the Swedish goalie here in Ottawa, who hasn't played since December 22nd and who may play this week, Linus Ullmark, I hope he takes the pass on going to the Four Nations too and follows in Alex Pietrangelo's footsteps. And I vote for local Ottawa guy Mackenzie Weegar because here in Ottawa, we love our boys.
You need some stories, Bruce.
He's a good defense. I saw a lot of Mackenzie.
And he is good.
When he played for Florida. He's a good, solid NHL defenseman, and he's having a really good year this year. And I have to stick up for Yanni Hakanpää, who is on the Finnish national team, has played 2 games in the NHL, could barely move in the 2 games he played, was put on long-term injury from that point on, has yet to pull out by one of the members of the Finnish team for the Four Nations face-off. But so I am supporting Yanni Hakanpää's attempt to be part of that Finnish national team.
So then you're supporting Linus Ullmark's attempt to be the #1 goalie for Sweden.
Oh no, I think Linus should,
because Markstrom's out now. So let's be honest, it's going to come down to him or Gustafsson. So
if I was Ottawa, I would want Linus resting throughout the break, somewhere in Cancun, I suspect.
I said this, that if you gave Steve Stales truth serum, even he'd have a hard time saying he wants him to play.
Well, the Leafs were no different. If you had asked the Leafs a month ago, do you want Austin Matthews playing? I think they would have said no with Truth Serum for sure. They didn't want him playing because they weren't sure what they were getting back with him. And now he's come back and he's playing like Austin Matthews again, and nobody's too worried about it. But that's the danger of this kind of tournament in the middle of a season. If anybody, it happened in Ottawa years ago with Hasek. If anybody loses a player of consequence, boy, there's going to be hell to pay.
Yep, good points by everyone. Had to give that opportunity for Bruce to go off.
Don't blame the question maker.
Yeah, exactly. But feel like we got to get the Swedish reporter from the newspaper on here to hear his rebuttal and have him go toe-to-toe with Bruce. But we'll see what goes down here in the Four Nations coming up in a couple of weeks' time. For Bruce Garrioch, Steve Simmons, Patrick Johnston, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.